Okay, so hi. So first of all, I would like to introduce and welcome our district governor-elect, Mark Roberts, who...
I'm right here. Good afternoon, fellow District 5160 Rotarians, and welcome to our second virtual assembly session, this time on fundraising, which I know is a topic of great importance to all clubs and of great concern to a lot of our presidents-elect who I've been talking with over the past many months. My special thanks to Renee Matsumoto and her panel, who will be sharing their thoughts, ideas, and suggestions. And I'm hoping this will inspire all of you and that you will be sharing your good ideas with us, especially as we try to transform many of our traditional fundraising projects into virtual ones. So enjoy the presentation, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mark. So I am now excited to introduce the facilitator for today's session, Renee Matsumoto, who is an AG-elect, and Renee is from the Rotary Club of Doherty Valley, San Ramon. Renee, you should be unmuted. Are you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool.
All right.
So take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Claire, and everyone for joining us this evening. As Claire mentioned, my name is Renee Matsumoto. I'm from the Rotary Club of Doherty Valley, San Ramon. I will be the facilitator for the about an hour, 45 minutes. Today, we are very fortunate to have with us three great panelists who will share their ideas and experiences with you. First, we have PJ Goodson, who's a member of the Vacaville Club for 9 years. She will share her ideas and experiences with you. She's currently sits on the District Grant Review Committee and is involved with the inaugural Balloon Fest. She'll tell you a little bit more about that shortly. Kelly Rhodes Poston is a member of the Fairfield Sassoon Club for 11 years. She is a current president. She's received the Rotarian of the Year in 2015 and is known for having successful fundraisers in collaboration with other clubs. Our third panelist, Heather Vilhauer, is with the club Doherty Valley San Ramon for 10 years and is a founding member. She is past president and has chaired both inaugural fundraisers, one, the V3 Hop Fest, and most recently, Truck Time. So as we move along this evening, I'm going to ask the panelists 3 questions. Once we've concluded with those, we'll go back to Claire, who will go through the question and answers. So if I may, for the first question, COVID-19 has changed our lives, how we think and do things, especially in the nonprofit world. How can we use this pandemic to our advantage? So if I might please ask PJ to start us off.
Well, I think just a response with 1 or 2, 3 words. It's having passion and planning and definitely easy payment platforms outside of checks and credit cards.
Perfect. Heather.
So I think the way I've been looking at a lot of it is just flexibility and adaptability and really thinking creatively outside of the box of things that we've done traditionally year after year.
Thank you. And Kelly.
I think I totally, well, I don't think, I know I totally agree with Heather. It's being adaptable and flexible and seeing how you can reach out in different platforms and really honing in on the demographics that you're targeting and knowing who your audience is. I think when we were doing live events, we kind of knew and people went with the flow, but honing in on your audience and being flexible enough to reach out to them in the ways they want to be reached.
Perfect. So what I heard was passion, planning, easy payment, flexibility, creativity, being adaptable, reach out in different platforms, know your audience. So those are a few of the buzzwords that I got from that. So thank you for those suggestions. The second question, can you please share with us your involvement with fundraising? Heather, can I start with you, please?
Sure. So I've been a fundraiser my entire life, event planner, with lots of other organizations as well. And I actually teach event planning now. And so coming into my Rotary Club, I saw a place that I fit. It was something that I'm passionate about working on. And as we started events, as Renee mentioned, I was the inaugural chair for both of our big events, one V3 Hop Fest, and then moving into Truck Time. And I think the big thing that I've learned from all of this is finding the passion within your club for an event, finding what people are interested in, grabbing onto that, and then also recognizing when your club's no longer passionate about something, or when an event has run its life cycle. We are right on the cusp of that with our V3 Hop Fest, of whether that is kind of an event that, for us at least, has been, the market's been saturated for us. It's the passion has decreased, and we're looking at ways to change that. And I think one of the best parts about it is we have a club that was willing to say, hey, we need to really take a look at this and ask ourselves, why are we doing it? And so I think that's one of the cool things about it in Rotary, is that we have all these different passions and different ideas and club members who are willing to stand up and say, hey, I'm interested, or no, I'm not. Let's try this, or let's try that. And so it's an amazing place to be able to plan events and get excited about the events that we're doing and the causes that we're supporting based on our events too.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Kelly?
You know, I don't think I could have any more to add. That is right on the money there, Heather. And there's a lot to be said, and being flexible, and like you said, is making sure that your club is still 100% behind it. We've done a few fundraisers in the past that after 4 or 5 years, they kind of fizzled out. We did a yoga fundraiser, but I think she encompassed it all very well.
Okay, great. And PJ?
Yes, our club has, for the last 11 years, has done a Texas Hold'em tournament, which has been very successful. And this year we weren't able to do it. And so we have talked about doing a virtual online Texas Hold'em. We've had, as I mentioned, you have to have somebody that has passion for the event. And we happen to have 3 Rotarians in our club that are passionate about gambling. And so they are looking into doing some online kind of gaming type of things. We also did tested out Hollywood Zoom squares, if you will, last week, just to see how that could go as a type of somebody who is they can act, actually the winners, the way the Hollywood squares worked is there was an X and an O, and you would make a pledge to that X or O, whoever won, and whoever won, that money would go towards that pledge. And so that was kind of a tester. We talked about it, see how it's going to go on. We haven't gone live with it, but just some new ideas of how to do things. We've got our golf tournament coming up in September. Not sure if we're going to be able to actually do tournaments. Is golfing right now. We can all golf, but we can't really do tournaments. That was a big fundraiser. For my year presidency coming on, one of my visions was to bring a new community event, which we've had in the past, but it was to bring in a hot air balloon fest. It just seemed natural for our club to do that because we have hot air balloons that come over Vacaville every day and they land in Vacaville. They come out of Winters. And so rather than reinventing the wheel, we got a local balloonist who is he's in charge of the Independent Balloon Association. And so we're working with him, we're working with the city. But the planning is you've got to have somebody who has a passion, a vision for it, and then you've got to find the right people for the right job. Because if you don't have the right people at the right job, you're going to get burnout really quick. And that's maybe why some of the old or traditional type of fundraisers that you've done have fizzled out because you don't have people with that passion. And so can I share my screen really quick, Renee?
Yes, please, Claire.
Okay, hold on 1 second while I let you share.
I just want to give you all just a quick review because it was scheduled for May 30th, which was this last Saturday. We had a $10,000, we had just started getting our donors coming in, and it was the fundraiser itself. Okay, can't do it yet.
Hold on. Sorry.
That's okay. And the whole reason for the community event was the hot air balloons will be sponsors. We'll have sponsors come in and they'll actually do hot air balloons, but the community event it's going to take place in Andrews Park, our downtown park. And we were going to try and get Rotarians such as yourself to help come and bring booths and have activities and bring awareness to Rotary, because one thing we know is that Rotary is sometimes the best kept secret. We do so much for our community, but we don't really market it. And
You should be able to share now, PJ.
Okay. So I just want to show you quickly some of the things we did organize. Is that we had originally set up for May 30th, and we have our coordinators who are coordinating the actual day, coordinating the getting the city to give us the park. We had, as you can see right here, our website. We built a website. We have swag that we're doing. We set up, took a pandemic, but we got Venmo started, and we're really enjoying the Venmo, the PayPal. There are other fundraising kind of online auctions that you can do, and I would just recommend that you Google that, because there is a host of them that you can do. Ready, Set, Auction. It's charityauctionstoday.com is the Google site that will give you a host of them. But here we did some raffle tickets that we're going to raffle off an actual trip or a balloon ride, but they would go off on a balloon, hot air balloon, the sponsors. They would come in and land, and then we would bring them over for a breakfast to the Andrews Park, and then we would have the event where other Rotarians and nonprofits would do activities, but all the money raised was going to go towards, I'm going to stop sharing, okay, was going to help raise awareness, Rotary raising awareness for mental illness. Interestingly enough, didn't really foresee a pandemic coming and what the results of all of that would have been. So we've postponed it. We're doing September 19th. Honestly, it will probably be postponed until 2021, depending on when all the lists are. But here's what we're doing. We're still going to advertise September 19th because that's marketing. We can keep it front of mind, front center, and hopefully bring in more sponsorships down the road as we come. But it was a lot of planning has already been put into this, and hopefully we will be able to help raise awareness, and the money will go towards our junior high, our middle school and high school programs for programs and assemblies at the schools. And I think that's going to be something that we're really going to need. But just keeping our mind open, having a plan B, okay, maybe an A, B, and C, and maybe even a plan D. But it's just being that flexible and willing to just do things a little bit differently.
So Renee, Mark Roberts has a question.
Yes, Mark.
It isn't a question per se. Actually, it's some really good news that I got when I was Zooming in with the Vallejo Club last week. They had to, of course, cancel their golf tournament. But what the president-elect, who was also the event chair, found out was that because the club has such great credibility in the community, all of the sponsors said, even though you're not holding the tournament, we will provide our sponsorship. So I just want to mention that to, a lot of clubs that are planning events don't necessarily think that your sponsors are going to abandon you just because you can't actually have the event. Again, you have great credibility, you have great reputation in your communities. So if you can, work with your longtime sponsors who know why you're raising the funds, and those funds are going to go back into helping your community, you may be able to continue to get that funding to sponsor your projects, even though you can't actually hold the event. So I just ask everybody to keep that in mind, and not overlook the fact that people know that you get things done, and even if you can't do the event, they want to help you.
That's a good point, Mark. They actually, from our Texas Hold'em, our sponsors have all rolled over to the Hot Air Balloon Fest.
Perfect. Great point, Mark. Thank you for sharing that. And I think if you're reading a lot of things online about virtual events, they all say, don't forget your donors. Keep in touch with them. You know, how can they help? Because they do want to help. It is a time where actually people that can are giving. So thank you for sharing again. So I believe what all three panelists mentioned is really knowing what your club is passionate about, knowing your community and how they will get involved. Plan, as PJ shared with you, she has a plan right now of an A and a B, and she may have to do a C. So flexibility is the key, and having to think out of the box during these times is very important, as I believe Heather mentioned earlier. So thank you. The last question is probably the most important and a little bit meatier, and that is, as you think about the future of our work, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic, how can we think differently? And what are some of possibly your worries? If I might go ahead, and I'm going to start with Kelly.
Right. Actually, I wanted to touch on something that PJ mentioned in her presentation there, if you don't mind, and it's about marketing. So where I work, my job is in business development and marketing, and one of the things that she said is Rotary's the best kept secret, and it really shouldn't be. I remember when I went to PETS last year that I was just astounded by the pull-up banners walking down the hallway that says what Rotary does. And so I've made it my purpose throughout this year to have a lot more marketing materials out there, and then to be changing that banner on your website. When I say marketing materials, so I recreated the banners that were at PETS, and they say we connect, we empower, we promote peace, we mentor, we teach, we learn. And so we had an event called Good Character Youth Awards in February, which had replaced the 4-way test, which is a phenomenal event. It's on its, I think it's on its fourth year. So that pretty much about every 20 feet, our audience was reminded who is Rotary and what Rotary does. And so not only did we have these pull-up banners that said that on the slideshow presentation on stage, there was a slideshow that constantly repeated those same words that you'll find on Rotary International. And then also when if you have any outdoor events, we created a 10 by 14 pop-up that is customized, that says Rotary on all 4 sides, had our web address, and it says people of action everywhere. Because that was my point for this year, is that nobody should say, what does Rotary do? I want people to know that we are all Rotarians, and we're people of action, and we're constantly doing things. And if people have to ask, that means our club, Rotary International, hasn't done a good enough job of saying who we are and what we do. And I think that should be present. And so this ties into knowing who your audience is. If we know that the big majority of our audience are in 50s and above, we know the social outlet for 50 and above is Facebook. We know that TikTok, if you start researching TikTok, their audience is 80% 19-year-old males. Well, that's probably not going to be our audience, so don't bother advertising on that. People use Twitter, but know how your audience, when I say know your audience, is what social media they're looking at, and that you have to be creative in that way. And if you don't have a graphic designer, I mean, don't just throw something together. I can't emphasize that enough, because that reflects back on your club, on the professionalism of that. But have that graphic designer put together a good quality image and quality videos that can go out there. And you can multi-stream between Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. There's programs out there that you can buy, and Zoom will do that as well. But I just want to say, if you ever hear what is Rotary, I think that should be everybody's key to say, I'm not marketing enough. So every single event, one of our big events throughout the year have been, we have a brew bash. This would have been our third year doing the brew bash. And I had it all ready, but there were going to be mini poster signage for every one of our beer vendors. There's brochures to hand out throughout, and the banners hand out throughout, along with all Rotarians wearing their shirts. That's been postponed till September, like PJ, and we're already looking at Plan B. Do we need to make that a virtual event? So I think it's knowing who your audience is. The other event that we do where we partner with other clubs is the pumpkin patch. For I don't even know how many years we've partnered with Other clubs here locally, Dixon Club, all of a sudden I'm blanking, Vacaville, Dixon, and Cordelia Club, we run the pumpkin patch for 4 weekends in a row. And so we're looking at that. How's that going to be different now? And how are we going to promote that? But at every single thing that you put out there in marketing, if you're not used to this, it should have your web address and a contact information or a website information for people if they want to, and it shouldn't be more than 1 click away. So I just wanted to add that on to the marketing bit. But your question was, how are we thinking differently? And for the fall. The committees that are passionate about the Brew Bash, like our Brew Bash committee is looking at Plan B and maybe doing a virtual event. We did cancel our golf tournament that we normally would have in August. And for Pumpkin Patch, that's what we're looking at right now. Since we have several partners, it's going to be a partnership between all of them. For the Brew Bash, I do want to mention for other people who haven't thought about it, we partnered with the city of Sassoon, and they are a business partner there. And they gave us lots of free advertising. So if we do something virtually, we'll still be able to tap into resources from the city of Sassoon to do anything virtually and to be on those online markets and do something fun. But it goes back to what we said in the beginning, adaptability, flexibility, and open-mindedness and willing to try. And it doesn't have to be perfect. The fact that we tried, and I think in allowing yourself to be just maybe not 100% perfect, but you've done the best effort.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelly. Heather?
Claire, can I share my screen real quick?
Sure, hold on 1 second. You're a co-host now, so you can share.
Thank you. So what you're seeing on my screen right now is really talking about our Truck Time event. So this event had its inaugural event last year. We had 1,500 kids and families there. Someone was asking about marketing, and it really depends on the market that you're going after. I did social media blasts. My stuff was seen by close to 22,000 people in like a 2-month period. And I can tell you it's great because I was very directed in where I was going with that. And I was very much looking directly to the moms of kids. So Truck Time is essentially a touch a truck event. We had people bring in trucks, kids have a chance to climb all over them and things like that. That obviously didn't happen this year in May. We pushed ours back, same date as someone else mentioned, September 19th. There are 2 options that we're looking at right now. And it's really that decision-making time that we're coming down to is, are we going virtual? What does that look like? Hayes, you were asking about what does it look like to go virtual in some of those virtual events. My advice to a certain extent is to look at other areas of the country, as a lot more of them have moved virtual or semi-virtual already because of their restrictions. So there's other groups that have also done Touch to Truck recently with timed entry. And you can't climb into them, but you can come walk around the outside of them, and they're doing timed entry with some of that. The key thing is we're thinking about it is really what will draw the sponsors to us and still encourage them to sponsor our event. And then also what will draw participants? What can they not already get for free? And the problem with, for instance, this event is a lot of the stuff that we would do virtually is already available for free. So we're looking at that value add. What do we add to it? And then also, do we have the capacity to do it as a club? A lot of our club are first responders in some way, shape, or form. And so, or are in different positions in different organizations where they're taking that first responder role. And so really looking at whether we have the capacity and whether it's worth it this year, or whether we say, hey, we need to find something else completely different and move to something else. And I appreciate that our club is so flexible and willing to kind of entertain that concept of moving to something completely differently. And so I think that's, and then also back to marketing, one of the other things to think about is that we had great luck being very direct in our marketing. We had a couple of volunteers who went out, and our flyers went very specifically. So not just every window, but went very specifically to all the childcares, all the daycares, schools, et cetera, places where the participants we wanted would be. So rather than mass marketing, we were much more focused. And we did that with our V3 Hop Fest too. We sent things to all the bike shops throughout California. We sent things, listservs and things like that. And same thing on the brew side, more going after the brewery people and who's interested in that, and younger generations versus older generations and who you're trying to recruit. So, thanks.
Excellent. Thank you so much. PJ.
Yes, I know that there's some questions about if we'd actually done any virtuals. It's been too short of a time for us because it was March and May were our two events. But as I mentioned with our Texas Hold'em, we are looking into doing that. We are not sure the logistics yet, but I do think that that's very viable as far as getting something virtual. Walkathons, dance-a-thons, those types of things that have been very successful. I know with the mental health, NAMI just had a huge virtual, which is really great because people can go out on their own and they're basically, they're getting their own money and that type of thing. So I don't know if that's reinventing the wheel, but it is definitely virtual, people doing it on their own way and their own light. But just trying to figure out new ways of how to do online fundraising for your silent auctions, and then having the ability to pay easily, because we're used to people just coming and giving, writing checks and signing for things. But honestly, finding Venmo and other PayPals and other ways to make those payments easier for your donors, I think that's going to be critical. And you may have to even do more of a website, whereas in the past, in our fundraisers, we haven't really had to focus in on websites. So things to think of going forward.
Thanks, PJ. So I think the three panelists, I think, agree on marketing, passion. So know your market, have passion, look at the other countries that, as Heather mentioned, that are ahead of us and seeing what they've done. And then use things such as Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I'm not familiar with those, but I know that younger generations might be. So those are also different avenues to publicize events. Some of the other virtual fundraisers that I have heard of are like online auctions, the dance parties. You still have direct mail campaigns if one wants to do those. Virtual fitness challenges, such as the bike, walk, or run. Dance-a-thon. What about a digital happy hour? Maybe have a bartender and he teaches you different beverages and you just have an entry fee. Your galas, your poker tournaments. How about building an item? Maybe everybody has a kit and you see who can build something the fastest. These are some of the things that I have seen as I've been browsing the website. The other one is a head shaving contest. How about get out of jail? I think we could do that virtually. I know when I worked for the March of Dimes, you know, you just we'll put Mark right into jail right when he starts as our district governor on July 1st and see who might want to get him out, right? And that's an easy fundraiser, I think, for building some.
If anyone.
Or he may stay there for his whole term, I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you very much for all your ideas, your experiences, and sharing them with everybody that's joining us here today. So at this point, what I'd like to do is turn to Claire, who has been taking track of all the questions that you guys have put into the chat. Some may be duplicates, some may be not, and we'll use the remaining of the time to do that. This is a great forum to be able to brainstorm as well. I think with everybody being in the same situation, this is an opportunity to talk amongst one another. So I'm going to turn it to you, Claire.
So I think one of the themes that's coming up, and first of all, thanks to Renee and the panel for the great information that you shared. One of the themes that's definitely coming up is specifics about virtual events. Does anybody here on this call today have anything specific in terms of something that you've done either with your club or with another group that you could share with us for information? And if you do, let's see. Okay, did I see you, Geraldine? I saw you raise your hand, so let me unmute you.
Claire, this is Heather. Can I chime in real quick about something about that?
Sure.
I want you guys to think really when you're thinking about virtual events, don't just think about what other people have done, but think about what your club is passionate about and what they're going to be willing to put the time and energy into. And then also think about what the technical skills required are and whether you have those. So I would almost think about that before you think about exactly what you want to do. So that when you start looking at the big picture of these are all the potential events. And if you go on Facebook and Google virtual or put in the search bar virtual events, there's lots of virtual event groups too, because you have event planners from across the nation that are running into the same problems we are. And so there's ideas on there. But before you do that, really think about kind of your tech skills within your club, your passion, and what's the bottom line? How much do you have to make this year if you're looking for a certain amount of money? And that should help guide some of your decisions with that as well.
Great perspective. Thanks for sharing that, Heather. Geraldine, did you have something that you wanted to share?
Well, we did. We've had for the last 2 years, we have done a silent online auction. So we're kind of practiced in that at a point. We're at Chico Sunrise Rotary and we do a St. Patrick's Gala. So we had to cancel. It was St. Patrick's Day. We were going to postpone till August and we just had our meetings to just cancel it for this year. We are still going to hold the online auction because we have so many items already uploaded. So we're going to go for a partial. We had success with the combination of the silent auction with the live auction and the face-to-face gala, but we actually put the letter out to keep your ticket sales and donate them. So we're hoping that's successful, and we're planning on an online auction again in March. So it's been working for us.
And so you were Chico Sunrise, right, Geraldine? So
Right.
There's a source of information. Anybody else have something that you want to share? Either put it in the chat or raise your hand. Let me see if I scroll through. Okay, I have here that June 17th, Concord Diablo Rotary is having a virtual happy hour. Barry, can you share with us how that's going to work?
Okay, so this was President Patricia's idea, and because we couldn't have our normal pancake breakfast and our normal bowling event, we do have 2 sponsors that were going to sponsor those events anyway, so they're kind of like our seed money for our virtual happy hour. And as we were trying to launch it, it really was, we've got to figure out how we can make some money, and then Patricia had the idea of throwing in a happy hour. So that's going to be the event on June 17th, but we've already launched on Facebook and on
Facebook and
Eventbrite. Eventbrite.
So I'm probably doing it completely the wrong way because we're just doing it. And and so I might be calling Chico Sunrise regarding the virtual silent auction, but we're doing it and we'll let you know how that goes. And you guys are welcome to join us.
And Heather also shares that San Ramon Rotary has been doing a virtual auction for a while as part of their run for education. So that's another resource that you might want to be able to pull on, you know, as we all share information.
Just want to create that virtual tip jar.
Very good.
Kathy, and I'm not sure what club you're from, Kathy, if you want to unmute yourself. Kathy says one of our members has offered to donate 15% of sales we drive to his website. His company offers PPE, not N95, and is most closely aligned with hair salons. Any thought about how we get the word out? I think we talked about some marketing options. Oh, there you are.
Yeah. So yeah, we had kind of a soft launch of it, and you know, really it's, you just need to type in Rotary into the checkout box, you know, where you normally type in a discount, and he will direct 15% of sales to our foundation. Not sure about how other clubs feel about directing something that just comes to our foundation. What are people thinking about that? What's that? Do we need to figure out some way to have like 50-50 go to international and 50% go to our community foundation? Just not sure what people's thoughts are about that.
Do you have a cause already, Kathy, for that 15%?
It's just our generic foundation. It's our community foundation and all the work that we normally do. So we have not got something in particular, but it's interesting that you say, is there a particular local cause that we would want to use as, and that's awesome insight, really, to make sure that it isn't just, falling into a pot of money.
I think there's another question. Thank you very much for sharing that, Kathy. I think there's another question about what kind of income can you expect from a virtual fundraiser? Does anybody have a formula that you use in terms of if you took something that you used to do in person and tried to take it virtual?
Has anybody done that? I wish, is anybody here from the dance party that was just held Saturday to know how they did? Okay, I meant to contact them today, but did not. If I get that information, I'll try sharing it, and maybe Claire, you can send it out.
Yes, I have everybody's email that's on here, so we can do
Okay.
that. And then,
Claire?
there was a
Claire?
question about, yes?
I just wanted to, it's going to be hard to answer that because it's going to be highly dependent on what the fundraiser was and how passionate that community is on that. So I don't think there can be an expectation, especially if it's going to be your first fundraiser, without having something to have a benchmark from. So like for a beer fundraiser, I know the ones that we've done in the past, the live ones, we've raised over $26,000 on doing those fundraisers. I think if we use that as our benchmark, half of that went to the city, half of that went to us. And if we use that as our benchmark, then we would say, okay, if we're going to do a virtual, I think with the times you would charge a fee. I saw somebody have a question, how do you get that money? You would charge a fee to enter the fundraiser itself. So we would normally charge $40 a ticket. Okay, what if we say it's 10? And honestly, for my club, I think if we can make $5,000 from doing a virtual fundraiser for a beer fest, I would consider that fantastic.
Great, thanks so much for sharing. One question that came in is, how do you raise money at a virtual beer fest? And I think that's part of the question, an entry fee or happy hours. Does anybody else, are you charging an entry fee or are you doing something else? Anybody else have any other thoughts? Barry, you buying a ticket? I heard you say Eventbrite.
Yeah, we have sponsorship levels at Eventbrite. Basically was based on, what people might be willing to give. And we do have specific community items that it's going to. I mean, Rotary, Cambridge Child Development Center, but we're charging, basically sponsorship type level. We have one that is like, what was some of the names?
Quarantine, there's like a chill quarantine ticket. I was trying to make it kind of fun. The super mask gold ticket, just some things to do with what's going on with the virus. And then, so what we were figuring, it was part of the bowling bash that we were going to do. So we have an entry ticket of $30 to get into the happy hour is how we're doing it.
Okay, thank you.
Up to 1,200.
Yeah, up to 1,200.
Okay.
Oh,
great.
we have doors ready for you, Claire and Mark. $1,200, you're in.
Oh, thank you so much for that opportunity.
It starts now.
But I hear that someone may have to bail him out of jail. I don't know that it'll be me, but we'll see. So does anybody else have any other thoughts about virtual? Okay, Lynn Jepson, let me unmute you. There you go. I think you're unmuted, Lynn.
I had a little bit of a question or concern about directing traffic towards one of your customers' businesses in return for a partial donation. This came up at our club several years ago, and we decided not to do anything like that because we didn't want anybody to think that a member was benefiting in kind of a self-serving way. And we didn't want to show that we would favor one business over another in the community, that we were somehow playing favorites. We just had a couple of concerns and decided not to do that.
Good information.
Good
I
point.
just want to point out that Lynn Jepson is our longtime district treasurer, so she knows of what she speaks.
Thank you, Lynn, for sharing that.
Well, being treasurer has nothing to do with my comment about self-serving. I mean, I love all these ideas. I'm getting great ideas.
So does anybody else have any, we're just about at time here. Does anybody else have anything else that you want to share?
Okay, it's Mary Lou Till from Lafayette. Rotary. And one thing that I've started work on now is that all of us, I would bet, use Amazon. And so you can register your Rotary and then get the word out to all the other Rotarians. We have 78 people. And so if 78 people get their families and their friends to donate to Rotary, then that's for things that they just normally buy. That's a 10% kickback. So that could really be pretty large. I have no idea how large it could be, but it could be pretty large.
Well, absolutely, and there's no cost to us, right?
No cost to us at all. It's just a box will come up on the screen when you're ordering, and it'll ask you which charity that you'd like to support.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because I don't think everybody knows that you could do that. Appreciate
One
it.
last thing I would like to mention, we had a lot of beer left over from our Texas Hold'em postponement cancel, and we always raffle off a beer barrel. And you could actually do something like that and raffle it off. People, they send you the Venmo payment, the check or whatever, and you have a drawing, and you could do that once a month. And just, it's not a lot of money. I know when we talk fundraisers, a lot of times we think of the 20, 30,000, 40,000s that we're used to bringing in. So just start small. Don't think that you have to make a lot of money. Just even if you bring in a couple of thousand, I think you should pat yourself on the back.
And Fred, I think you had a comment?
Yeah, just wonder if anybody has, we've been approached by I'm going to say a professional virtual fundraiser, an auctioneer who will charge us a $500 fee and take 2% of all proceeds. Does anybody have any experience with anybody along that line who runs this as a living? He has done one. He's done an auction for us about 20 years ago, a live auction, and now he's obviously in the virtual business. Has anybody got any experience with that?
All right, as someone who works in the field of special events and event planning and stuff like that too, I'd be really cautious of anyone who can't give you a bunch of information on virtual events they've done before, especially for that type of fee. I do a lot of investigation into what they're going to give back to you. A lot of event planners switched virtually very, very quickly. And some definitely do not have the skill set to be doing what they're trying to do, yet they're charging people to do it. So just be careful would be my caution.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good point.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I've got another hand there, Claire.
Kelly,
Make sure I'm on. I'm off.
you're on.
Okay. I just wanted to add, I noticed somebody added about Smile Amazon. Our club has been doing that, and it's great because even when you purchase on Smile Amazon, every time you purchase, it will tell you, oh, you've donated this much to your club. The other thing I want to make sure everyone knows, if you're using Eventbrite to purchase your tickets, they do have a nonprofit discount. You just have to submit your tax or whatever their forms are, so they will charge you less if you're using Eventbrite. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, so that's time. Renee, did you? Oh.
I can see, but I can't tell who that is there. Can you see she's raising her hand?
You can see different people than I can. So okay.
Yeah, I talked to Mark about that. I think I did this afternoon. Is that I just found a neighbor I've been working with actually for 3 years, and he donated his car to an organization called Cars Second Chance. So, and it was a 19, I think it's an 86.
86 XJS.
Yeah. Who said that? Who told me what it is?
Hayes.
Hayes, thank you. And so they.
Hi, Mary Lou.
Hi there, Hayes. Thank you. I'm glad you know more than I do about cars. So he is the owner of this has decided he hasn't driven it for 3 years. So Cars Second Chance sent a trailer. They took the car away, and it's a beautiful cherry red Jag, and it's priced at $24,995, I think. So half of that money will go to the La Miranda Sunrise, and half of that money that's made from that will go to the Lafayette Rotary. And so if my Rotary makes $12,000, and then I'm going to challenge the members, all the members, and we have 78 members. So if each member can bring in one car and give it to Cars Second Chance, then and it brings in just $1,000 for each car, and challenge each member to bring a car in. If each member brings in one car and we make $1,000, that ends up being $78,000 with no effort whatsoever. If they bring in a $4,000 car,
Larry.
$2,000, that's almost $150,000.
Larry, better listen to Larry.
Hi. Yes, Larry Hutchings from Clayton Valley, Concord Sunrise. Yes, our club and has been doing Cars Second Chance, and before that, Clunkers for Charity for a number of years. There are a number of Rotary clubs who are our partners already, plus other organizations that are our partners. And we have recently joined forces with the La Miranda Sunrise Club. So we're combining forces to really get a lot better marketing and really have this go out as something that's going to be so easy. So we're trying to reach all of the Rotary clubs about this. It's something that, you know, it's something you can put on your website, and you can have a donate button there, and it can just send you right to our website, and you can have any place in the district can donate their car, and you get 50%. Right now, we're focusing all of our efforts on the Contra Costa Solano Food Bank, but that doesn't mean that that will last forever. Hopefully, we're going to get a lot of money for Food Bank, and then in the future, we're directing it, going to make it much more easy for you to get funds for your club, and it's something that can be ongoing, and you know, just to supplement your other income, your other fundraisers.
Larry, thanks for mentioning that, because Clayton Valley Concord Sunrise deserves credit as the founder of that program. Also, I just want to remind everybody that actually in the district newsletter that you received yesterday, there's more information about the Cars Second Chance. So take a look at your newsletter, district newsletter, and there will be all the information that Larry's just shared with you.
And you can, just one thing, basically what we're doing now, we're putting out these emails that are going out to every Rotarian in the district, thanks to Tina and the district. And what the food bank, you can actually, if you donate a car, it's not just going to Contra Costa Solano Food Bank, but they are distributors to many other food banks in Northern California. And so it's something that you can kind of promote as being a local event that you're supporting for your food bank in this time of real distress. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. That was great. So Renee, did you have any final words of
What
closing?
I'd like to just share is really thank you for joining us. We are all in this together. We're not alone. Please reach out to any of the three panelists or myself. If we don't know the answer, maybe we can try finding it. But stay safe, and I wish you all luck in the upcoming new year of 2020-2021. So I think that's all, Claire.
Yes, well, thanks to Renee and the panelists. Applause, yay. Great job. And thank you all for joining us, and stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.